Hey everyone, it's Gary here from Echidna Sewing, and today we're going to take a look at the Brother JA1400 mechanical sewing machine. Okay, this is basically the most basic sewing machine in the Brother range, and it's really designed for someone who doesn't do a lot of sewing and you just need a little machine to do a bit of repairing or mending. Perhaps it's for someone who is young and just trying their first sewing machine, but nonetheless quite a basic machine. But it has a few key features that I think are important for anyone choosing their first or any sewing machine for that matter. So I'm going to run through the basic operation on the machine, and you'd be able to use this as a great reference in the future should you have one of these and you just can't remember how to do the various things it needs to do. Now, let's have a look at the basic configuration. The machine is a JA1400. A 14 means it's got 14 stitches, so that's kind of what that means. And you've got straight stitch, zigzag, and a blind hem stitch, an elastic stitch, and a basic buttonhole. So not a lot on this machine, but again, it's not designed to be for a serious dressmaker. It's just basic. It has a simple reverse option on there, so we're going to use that in a few moments. Very simple bobbin winding, very simple threading, and it also features an LED light. So when we switch the machine on, as I'm about to, might show up on camera, I'm not sure, but it's an LED light, so the globes, the old style globes, are never going to be a problem for you. They're never going to blow. The machine uses a standard foot control and power cord, which I have plugged in. This on-off switch is on the side. All basic rudimentary stuff. So I've got it plugged in, it's turned on. The first thing we need to do is we're going to wind a bobbin. So in order to do that, I'm going to take the bobbin out of the machine. And to get to the bobbin, we just pull this little slide plate back, whoops, and that just slides off. And I'm going to grab the bobbin out of the machine. I'll try and keep my hands out of the way, so there is no thread on the bobbin at the moment. These are a standard A-style bobbin, very commonly available. The bobbin winder is up on the top here, and that's the little spindle, so we're just going to pop the bobbin on the spindle like that. I'm using a spool of Resant thread. I do recommend to anyone, regardless of what machine you have, whether it's a cheap, low-cost machine like this or a most expensive one, always try to use good quality thread. This is Resant, it's among the best. Now, pull the little spool pin up, and that's where our thread will go. And we just pop the thread on there. Now, for winding the bobbin, there is an indicator on the top of the machine here that shows you the process of how to thread. It really is quite simple though, and of course there is an instruction book. There is even an instructional DVD that comes with the machine. So in order to thread it, I just follow the little guideline here, and it goes in the little gauge there, or the little entry point there, and then it comes around this little pre-tension device. Now at this point you do need to pull the thread so as it's in under the little pre-tensioner there. That's the little bobbin tensioner. And then we come around here. The book and the instructions will tell you to cut a nice little piece of thread there and then thread that into the bobbin. So hopefully camera guy can see this. I'm going to try and show you with the bobbin off. But there's a little hole in the bobbin. Pop the thread through there and then just pop the bobbin on like so. And what we do now is hold that thread, click the bobbin winder across. That will now release the machine. And if we now just hit the pedal a bit, sew a few stitches on there, and then I'm going to trim this little piece of thread that's coming up through the hole. And now I can wind the bobbin. Now when you flick the bobbin winder across, that will disengage the machine. So obviously the machine's not stitching. Now you can wind a full bobbin if you like. I don't need to here, but if I was to wind a full bobbin, this little device here will actually stop it from over winding. But I don't need a full bobbin, and more often than not when you're mending something you won't need a full bobbin thread. So I just flick that back across. We're going to trim the thread off. I'm going to take the bobbin out. Now I'm going to load the bobbin into the machine, and again there is a little indicator here, a little diagram of how to thread the bobbin, and the bobbin comes off like essentially a letter Q if you like, a P, so it goes up and around. That's how it would look if you were setting it in. And the indicator actually tells you that. And we just simply slide the bobbin thread around. It's a good idea to put your finger on the bobbin and just make sure that the thread is pulled into the tension. And I'm going to cut a bit of that excess off. I don't need all that thread there. I'm going to leave that thread sitting there for now, and I'm going to take the little plate and slide that back on. And that's all there is to loading the bobbin. Now, threading the machine, we'll just pull that back out of there. And again, there is an example or a diagram here showing you how to do this. So we flick that through to there. Now, important thing, folks, on any mechanical machine, and by mechanical I mean a machine that has no computerization at all, and the machine has no what we call needle stop position. On any mechanical machine, it's important to thread the machine with the presser foot, in fact on any machine, with the presser foot up, but on a mechanical machine, always make sure that your needle is in the correct up position and the take-up lever, which is the lever down in this part of the machine here, is in the correct up position. Now, the way to do that on a Brother machine is just turn the wheel until, and you'll be able to see here, I'll point to it now, there's a little line on the hand wheel, and that line needs to be at 12 o'clock, in other words, right at the top. And if that is in that position, then that means the take-up lever just here is in the correct position for threading, and the needle is in the correct up position. Now, why do you have to do that on a mechanical machine as opposed to a computerized machine? Or the simple fact of the matter is, on a computerized machine, it will always stop with the needle in the correct up position, which means the take-up lever will be in the correct up position. You don't need to adjust the hand wheel. So that's an advantage. So anyway, machine's in the correct position. I run my thread down here. We come down to number 3. So we've got 1, 2, 3 is coming around the tension device. This is your thread tension device here. And we then come up to number 4, all the way back, across to the left and forward again, and that means the thread is in the take-up lever now. And then we come down and hook the thread into number 5 and 6 on the needle bar. Now, the way to do this, sometimes you need to just use two fingers or 2 hands to get that thread, and the thread has to be in that little guide there. And now it's a matter of threading the needle. Now, this machine does not have an automatic needle threader, so you are going to need to cut your thread or use a manual threader if you like, but fortunately I can still see the needle eye pretty reasonably. So let's see how we go there. There we go, got it, first attempt. And we just pull the thread through. Now, it's a front to back threading path, so very simple. And it's very, very easy to then draw the bobbin thread up. So this again is an older style machine, basic machine. We do need to pull the bobbin thread up to the top of the plate. And as you can see, the bobbin thread is just sitting there at the moment. By holding, and to do this, by holding the needle thread with my left hand and turning the wheel 1 complete revolution, so as that mark on the hand wheel is back to 12 o'clock, the bobbin thread has now been drawn to the top of the machine, to the top of the needle plate, and both threads are now in position, and I can just sit that under the back of the foot using that little sort of slot in the foot, and the thread is now sitting at the back, and I'm now ready to start stitching. Now, what I'm going to do right now is just quickly stitch a straight stitch down this piece of fabric. I've got my thread all threaded, everything's ready to go, so we'll pop a piece of fabric under there. The presser foot lever is on the kind of the inside here, so you can access it with your right hand quite easily. I'm going to lower the presser foot down. Now, for a straight stitch, I need to go to one of the straight stitch indicators here, and there are 5 different center straight stitches. That means the needle is in the center of the foot, and I've got 5 different stitch lengths to use. There is no stitch length adjustment or width adjustment on this machine. So if we're wanting to do a medium straight stitch, that would be stitch number 8. That's all I need to do. So for a lot of people, that makes it really simple. You don't have to think about anything, just visually choose the stitch you want and it will be set for you. So at that point, I'm on a straight stitch, I'm ready to go, my machine is threaded, and all I've got to do is hit my pedal and off we go. So a lovely little straight stitch going down there. If I need to reverse, for example, we've got to the end of a seam, all I've got to do is push that little lever down and it will reverse for you. And then I can stop the machine if I wanted to stop that, that's the end of my seam. I just turn my wheel until the take-up lever is at the top. Again, the line on the hand wheel is at 12 o'clock, is right at the top. That means the machine's in the perfect up position. I then lift my presser foot, pull my thread out. Now there is a side cutter on the machine, and I'm going to just quickly turn the machine a bit, and hopefully camera guy can follow this. There's a side cutter just here. Hopefully that's in shot. And I can pull the thread up and then just cut that off there. So that's choosing a straight stitch. It's very simple, very easy to do. If we want a zigzag stitch, we would go to stitch number 2, 3, 4, or 5. And essentially that will give you different widths of zigzag. So typically number 3 might be a commonly used zigzag. So let's have a look at that. And again, there's nothing for you to set. It's just going to go straight into a zigzag mode. If I stop with the needle in the down position, I can lift my presser foot and I can turn my fabric that way and then continue on if I wanted to come down this direction here. So nice and simple to use. And then we could come back. You might be putting a badge on or something like that, and that's a way to do it. Another feature on this machine is it is a free arm machine. So if you're hemming a pair of jeans or a pair of pants and you want to run the tube of the leg, for instance, around the free arm, you just simply take that off and you've got all this space around the arm just there. Now, what other stitches are on here? You do have, as I said, multiple different zigzag widths and different stitch lengths. And of course, there's a blind hem stitch, an elastic stitch, and a stretch blind hem stitch. And there's also a buttonhole. It's a manual buttonhole. Now I've come all the way around to number 14. I can't go any further than that. So if I wanted to do a buttonhole, we would take our, in fact, I should always make sure that my needle is up out of the fabric when I'm moving my stitch controller. And I'm going to go right back to number 1. And there's A, B, C, and D. So there are 4 different locations on the buttonhole. And this leads me into talking about the little accessories that come with the machine. Again, it's a basic machine. There's not a lot that will be that is included other than an extra 3 bobbins, some needles, a buttonhole foot, and a zipper foot. So you could use this machine to put a zipper in. Let's just tip all these out. Hopefully that's in shot. So they're the basic accessories that come with it. And the machine does use standard sewing machine needles, which are very readily available. Again, like thread, always use a good quality needle. That will give you a better result. Now, if I wanted to do a buttonhole, I just simply lift the foot, take the fabric out. I'm just going to use scissors to cut that off. To change my presser foot over, there is a little lever on the back of the foot, a little thing to release the foot. So we just click that lever in, the foot drops off. Now this is a manual buttonhole foot, so you do need to mark on your fabric how long you want the buttonhole to be. It's not a one-step buttonhole. So we just drop that foot down, lower the foot, put the foot in place, lower the presser bar down, and that will then clip into place. Now a good idea here is to take the thread and just tuck that in underneath the buttonhole foot and put both threads out to the back of the machine, and we're going to pop our fabric under here, remembering you would have marked where you want the buttonhole to actually stitch, and it's going to start at the bottom of the buttonhole. So I'm going to push that foot all the way back and I'm going to put this down. Now typically on a buttonhole we might like to just loosen the tension off ever so slightly, and that'll just give us a nicely formed buttonhole. And my first step on the buttonhole is position number 1, but I'm using position A, which is the bottom of the buttonhole. And so I'm just going to now stitch about half a dozen stitches across the bar at the bottom. Make sure my needle is out of the work. Now I'm going to go to position B, and the next part of the buttonhole, we'll see it stitch backwards until I get to the area that or the position that I'd already marked. So I'm assuming that's my size of my buttonhole I want. Make sure the needle is out of the work. Go to position C, and about another half a dozen stitches at the top, and then needle out of the work, which it is. Position D, and stitch back down to the other end. A few stitches at the end to lock off. Make sure my needle is up. The little line on the hand wheel is at 12 o'clock. Lift my foot, take my fabric out, trim that away, and there's my buttonhole done. So it's very manual, but it's not too bad. Obviously the one-step buttonhole machines on some of the computerized machines or the more advanced machines are much easier, but look, for the value and the price on this machine, it's excellent. There is an instruction book that comes with it, of course, and again, along with the little instructional DVD. that is included might be helpful. But just a basic machine made by Brother, so it's going to be good, of course. Has a 3-year mechanical warranty on it, and is relatively easy to use. What I would encourage anyone who's looking at this video to do, and this is only through our experience with folks who do buy this machine as a first machine, if you're learning to sew, it's very good, it's very good value. A lot of people will outgrow this quite quickly. So have a look at the links on this video, and do watch a couple of the other videos on the entry-level sort of computerized machines, because the benefits of doing that for your first machine is you will get a lot of the things I've just done manually are done automatically. So definitely worth doing a little bit more research before you make a decision. So have a look at that link on that on our video here, and please feel free to give us a call or contact us by email or messenger or whatever it is. And if you've got any questions or concerns about what would be the right machine for you, and we'll definitely be able to help you and guide you in that respect. So that's it. That's the JA1400, and yeah, I guess. Let us know how you go with your decision making, and happy sewing. Cheers.